steering wheel. Lapse the steering wheel, yeah. Give him steering wheel. Hey, steering wheel. Somebody tell him to give it to him. Come on! Whoa!
Your leg, can I please? Your leg hip.
How the f*** is that possible?
I'm driving like a grandma. Get that, Ralph? Did you hear me? Number radio. Ralph, acknowledge. Now, come on, close him down and kill him. We've got a lunatic on the track. Down that interstate.
I am so annoyed.
Boys and girls, your attention, please.
Hello and welcome back inside the Park from Air for podcast number 972. This is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camber. You know why I've asked you here.
I was convinced the villagers that I'm
That's
harmless.
exactly what I need you to do tonight. Hey, look, it's the off season, which means F1 has more free time to cause problems, this week was basically 2026 prep week, right? Cadillac staffing up, Red Bull finalizing, McLaren hiring, FIA Formula One clarifying what the new era actually is. We're going to get into all of that stuff and possibly more, but I got to go get my co-host. That means I got to go all the way to the right coast of our nation, nestled near our nation's capital, where she plies her skills as a master statistician. She literally takes quantum physics and turns it on its head and shakes the change out of its pockets. You know her, you love her, the lovely, the redoubtable Grace, how you doing?
I don't even know what that means, but sure.
You do it. I know you do it.
Yeah, all right. Watch out.
Watch out for her maths.
Yeah, right.
She's good at that math, folks.
Maths and statistics are two different things, so.
They are. But there is a little of both in each.
Yes, but...
But I bet you can do a mean pivot table in Excel, can't you?
I haven't had to do a pivot table in a long time.
I haven't either. Yeah. I know. I kind of feel like we need to go to Williams and get, brush up on Excel spreadsheets. Oh,
they don't
wait a
do
minute.
that anymore.
They don't do that anymore. Oh.
James has fixed everything.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's made
I'd
it all
love
better.
to see Williams pivot tables.
Man.
Well,
I
would've been
would have
good.
loved to see James Vowles coming across them. Like,
Yeah. What? Wait a minute. Could somebody just give me a Power BI report, a dashboard? What am I looking at here?
what is this? Exactly?
Come on, man.
What am I looking at here?
This got AI in it. Where's Copilot? Oh, boy. Crazy.
It's politer. It's politer, apparently, if it has AI in it. So
No, I think AI is becoming the more aggressive, almost mercenary version of Clippy.
Oh, I agree with the pop up in the corner, all the time. I didn't ask you. I didn't. I mean, it's bad enough that Ziggy, when I say her name, I'm always like, hey, Zig. And then Siri thinks I'm talking to her and I'm like, fuck, talking to you every morning.
Is your name Zig Zig? No.
Right. There's some cuss words, but again, we just started off trying to keep it clean. So,
sure.
But yeah, it's not pleasant first thing in the mornings for
right.
Siri. But,
No.
I don't enjoy it that it's everywhere, and no, I don't want it, and it somehow made everything worse. Why do I want this?
It's the shitification of everything.
That's
what my
correct.
wife and I call it.
It's true. It's true.
It is. Oh, boy. So, Grace, this week in Formula One, hey, we're going to cover 5 things. And I thought I'd throw in, because I personally was touched by this, so I'm going to, take editorial freedom here. I'm going to do a little social spotlight on one driver's particular social media post that I found heartwarming. And everybody else, was apoplectic about it. But anyway, I will bring that up at the close before we get into some fun Albans cats.
Please be Valtteri Bottas. Please be Valtteri Bottas.
Oh man, yeah, the crotch shot, yeah. And why was it moving? Can anyone? What's going on there?
I don't know.
This guy, I'm telling you, he's like a Wes Anderson movie in real life.
He is a one-man Wes Anderson movie.
He is.
I agree with that. He's just hanging out with Bill Murray.
I know.
And Owen Wilson, and
yeah, it's just surreal. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, don't get me started on that.
All right.
So anyway, let's jump into the first story. On first blush, Cadillac announced that Zhou Guanyu. You'll remember Zhou Guanyu as the Chinese Formula One driver who drove at Sauber with Valtteri Bottas, right? And then he was sat down. He was the Ferrari reserve driver. for the last season or so. So our friend Joe is a reserve driver now for Cadillac in the 2026 debut. That's good. They announced the structure. They have Bottas and Perez as the racing drivers, obviously. Colton Hurd is the test driver. Sort of a planned F2 program, possibly. And then Ferrari supplying the power unit gearbox for 2026, as we know, until Cadillac rolls their own, right? So they're going to do that. So, why Joe? May think, well, gosh, of all the reserve drivers in Cadillac could get, and what about, U.S. drivers or whatever, but why Joe? Well, it actually kind of makes sense, Grace, when you consider that Joe brings the most recent Ferrari reserve and simulator mileage. Yeah. He's been working at Ferrari. He knows the gearbox. He knows the engine. He's done tons of sim work for Ferrari, so he knows how it should respond, right? And he's got that experience with Bottas at the Sauber area, so there's a real connection there, driver to driver and communication. And Cadillac gets arguably a significant Chinese driver, and that's still a major market for a lot of companies like Cadillac, et cetera. And so Joe, very beloved driver from F1. So that's good. I think, the FIA and allowing Cadillac to come in, framing all of this as their arrival, expanding the grid. Cadillac's bringing in, Bottas and Perez, and they got Zhou Guanyu, who arguably, I think you and I, and certainly Paul and I, felt like he did a really good job at Sauber. Yeah. Unfortunately, didn't stay. But having said that, certainly, if you're newer to F1, a reserve driver sounds very bench, right? But for a brand new team, I'd argue it's actually core staff for this team, right?
I think in any team, I think the idea, a team is bigger than just the two drivers, right? Even at that, even a team is bigger than just the 5 names from the pit wall that we know or something like that. There's hundreds of people that work on a team. And so I think especially given a new rules, their new team, I agree. Bringing in somebody with experience that's already worked with Bottas, because so much of it is also translation between people, right? So he has to be able to say, okay, we tried this in the sim, we found this, and Bottas has to be able to say, okay, well, I tried that in the car and I found this. You know what I mean? So it helps already that you have two people that have already had to have this communication with each other and be able to bring that to the team, and then also help Cadillac talk back to Ferrari, here's what we found and here's how this is going to work. So, I agree. I don't think anybody that, is into Formula One, it's not being on the track for sure, which is what Joe would want. That's what anybody wants. But sure, this is a pretty important role to have. And the reliance on simulators, the less testing has pushed more into the sims, right? So you have to have somebody that's able to quickly try something and get that information back out to the, trackside team, because there's just not enough track time, especially if there's a sprint. You just don't have the time now to mess with your setup on the track. You have to have an off-track team to do this. So
So important. I'd argue that it's a real core staff role for Cadillac. Absolutely. Joe will be doing heavy sim correlation, which brings up Hat Tip Motorsport magazine for this graphic, but they just posted this on social media today. I was looking at it. So that where you finish in the Constructors' Championship dictates how much wind tunnel time you get in aggregate, right? And all of that wind tunnel time is used between the 1st of January, like now, all the way through the 30th of June to use all that wind tunnel time. McLaren, because they won the Constructors' Championship, they get the least amount of wind tunnel time. So they get 224 runs in a wind tunnel. Meanwhile, a team like Cadillac gets 368. That's 144 more runs in the wind tunnel than McLaren as the champion gets. And that's significant, folks. That's a significant amount of time for a team like Audi, who gets pretty close to that. Cadillac, who gets the most wind tunnel time. So you can imagine Joe is going to be doing heavy sim correlation, procedure building, being first call if there is an issue in the seat, someone gets sick or under the weather or whatever. But I think also Joe is going to be acting as a real bridge between Ferrari, between Ferrari's tooling, their PU integration, and the Cadillac ops. I think he can be instrumental of that. He certainly understands the program, understands the engine, the gearbox, how that performed in the Ferrari chassis, which would be different than the Cadillac chassis, most likely, but I think Joe will actually be really helpful in that role.
And he'll be able to know that difference, right? Like, that's part of it too, right? He'd be able to say, no, this is the engine. No, this is the car. I think that, and I think speaking to your point that if the best thing is to have one of the two racing seats, the next best thing is to have a position like this, right? It's going to be very visible. He's going to still be around, and it will keep his skills sharp and keep him, in everybody's Rolodexes or whatever, right? Like, so I think that that's a good place for him to be, because for sure he wants to get back into Formula One.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And I think you're always keeping your CV out there. You're keeping yourself frosty at the cutting edge. Driving current technology, I think, is always really important. And you think of even like Yuki Tsunoda, you think, well, he got demoted as a reserve driver in Racing Bulls, but in the essence, though, he's still current. He could still jump into any car, and drive.
It's still better than being an IndyCar driver or
not driving at all,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I thought I'd do a little assumption checks, in one sense. Hey, Joe is a reserve driver means Joe gets a future race seat. And that's not usually how that works. New teams often treat year one roles as modular. Reserve today doesn't guarantee promotion in the team. That may want a sponsor driven role like Yuki was at Red Bull with Honda, or peak performance pivot later. They may not fit in that. If you think of bringing in Alonso or something like that, if you had an option on a real performance, peak performance type driver that you could snag, I think Cadillac would go for it. The other thing is, Chinese driver equals instant Chinese boom, as far as marketing, and commercial impact certainly depends on results and how they market that, how they story tell Joe's involvement in Cadillac and how much marketing activation they do behind that. If Cadillac struggles early, they could have a little bit of a halo effect that could fade pretty quick. If they struggle early, which, I think you and I are on record, everybody said Cadillac's and it's great, they're going to come in, but they're in a Ferrari engine, Ferrari gearbox. They're going to be cutting their teeth. Not that Graham Loudon doesn't know his way around an F1 car to the paddock, but no team enters, winning races.
It would be foolish to think otherwise. Right?
Yeah. I think
they're not going to, they're going to be at the back of the pack. That is, it's just like we talk about a rookie, right? I mean, they're rookies, right? You don't expect that, suddenly, even Kimi Antonelli, you didn't, the expectations were very high for him, but, he's also a rookie. So we have to kind of keep that in mind. And so here you have a team that has to learn everything. And, even just sort of how the things flow and how to do this. I do think it doesn't hurt, right? It doesn't hurt that Joe is Chinese and that's a market that they want to be in, that there's, it doesn't. I don't think, win on Sunday, buy on Monday. That hasn't been applicable for years.
Yeah.
Right. That kind of idea. But it would be good to have him marketing, right? Because you could see that he's going to be at, car, his picture is going to be at car dealerships or whatever. And, having a name in Formula One, even as a reserve driver, is still going to be pretty important for that market. So
yeah, I think so too. Just having his involvement in F1 is going to be good. So agree with that. So that's good news. Good news for Joe. Glad to see him. He was over at Ferrari, so it wasn't like he wasn't doing anything. He was certainly putting in tons of sim time at Ferrari and very much, at the top of his game over there.
Here's what not to do, Cadillac. Listen, I came from Ferrari. Let me tell you. Here's how not to talk about your drivers in public, right?
Yeah. Here's what I do have some Ferrari news coming up. And
right,
I think you'll find it novel. I know.
Here's how to not win. I've just spent a year doing that. So
yeah, here's what you don't do.
Yeah.
Let's see. In other news in Formula One, well, you got Red Bull and Racing Bulls locking their 2026 lineups. We talked about this, Paul and I did last week, but I wanted to give you a little chance to weigh in. They got Hadjar moves up. Arvid Lindblad in. Sonoda is the reserve driver. They confirm Isaac Hadjar is going to partner Max. Arvid Lindblad debuts at Racing Bulls alongside Liam Lawson. Sonoda shifts to reserve for both teams, which is good. Hadjar scored points in 10 races, took a maiden podium. What was it, the Dutch Grand Prix maybe?
Yeah, I think it was more people were joking, because nobody likes the second seat at Red Bull, that it was the opposite. Like, I don't think anybody denies that he shouldn't get that seat. It was just sort of like an NBA team tanking, right?
Yeah,
we're doing too good. I don't actually want that seat, so I'm going to crash out in this race so that they overlook me. I don't think anybody doesn't think that Hadjar should have gotten that.
No. Take Liam.
Right. He's better. You take that guy. Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. Lindblad's promotion certainly justified by his performance in the feeder series and his FP1 appearances. I think he acquitted himself very well. And, so I think that's good. Laurent Mekies framed it as, Red Bull doesn't see Hadjar's seat as a landing point, more a continuing development path for the Ukester. Look, this is, in my opinion, this is just Red Bull doing Red Bull things, right? Promote fast, evaluate faster. Yes. Break everybody.
Kind of what they do. The big 2026 subtext is the new regs and their new Red Bull Ford powertrains means they're choosing a lineup that's flexible and possibly moldable with Isaac in there around a new technical package, which may be good in that sense, right? You've got Max, who we're all pretty I think we're all pretty convinced he'll get on top of whatever he's given. But I think from Isaac's standpoint, I think, the new Ford powertrain, Red Bull Ford powertrain, new regs, all that sort of thing, might mean that he brings a flexibility and moldability in that second car that may benefit them. Like I think we talked about, I know Paul and I talked about it too, is, everybody's like, oh my gosh, don't jump at that chance. And I think he kind of joked about it in social media, but the reality is you get a chance to drive for a top team, you're doing it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So,
I think that's absolutely the case. And, I think it'll do good. I think I feel better. As somebody who's a fan of Hadjar, I feel better with Mekies being there and without Helmut being there. So maybe it's a little less toxic. And, it actually will be a good second seat to be at. And he will be able to run with Max. And they'll, I don't know, they don't have to be like, I was going to say they're teammates. Like, they don't have to be buddies. But, it just doesn't seem so cursed, right? It doesn't just seem like, oh, you're the number 2 driver and it's terrible, right? So, hopefully things have changed there now. It seems to be where they ended last season. So, hopefully it'll be on the up and up for Hadjar. I don't want to see it, brought to all the memes of him, like with all the other, like with Albon and Gasly, like all the other drivers that have been thrown out of that seat. So,
and the assumption check for me is, okay, Hadjar, he's going to be instantly competitive next to Max. And, look, the second Red Bull seat has eaten careers, as you just alluded to, Grace. It's just eaten careers. The real bar for me might be don't collapse strategically, not beat Max. That might be, the mission isn't to go in and beat Max. The mission is to go in and strategically be strong, finish close, maximize points hauls. If you're finishing on Max's tail, Red Bull would be elated with that. So don't
work like a team.
Yeah. Because that's the difference, as Paul and I pointed out in the season review last week. It's a difference. Red Bull should have been second in the Constructors' Championship, and they weren't because Yuki was, nowhere to be found in the points. So I think from Isaac's standpoint, don't go in with the pressure of thinking that you've got to be on par and beat Max. That's not the goal. I think don't collapse strategically. Stay strong and score.
I think on the outside, right? Like, that's the good story. That's what fans want. That's what people talk about. But there's no way Hadjar, you don't want to you never walk in there thinking you're never a number 2. You never walk in there thinking that you can't do it. But he's also not walking in there going, I'm eat my dirt, right? Like, that's not it either. He's realistic about it. Is Max Verstappen. He has a few championships. He's pretty good, right? Like, he's got it. I think he'll be able to approach it with the right attitude of like, I will do well, but that is not my goal, is to rub his face in the dirt either.
Yeah. So we'll see. If he goes in, struggles like Yuki did, Perez did, everybody else did, well, at the end of the day, I think that says more about Max than it does Liam, Isaac, Sergio, Yuki. I just think it says a lot about Max and his
again,
ability.
I think it has to be helpful to not have your own team dogging you all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that we've all had managers that's just like, well, that's great, thanks. Like, that's not helping me. So it would, I think again, supportive seems like, again, I'm not asking to like create him like a baby, little Hajar, but like supportive would be nice, right?
Yeah.
Like not dogging me to the press behind my back at every turn, right? Like that's all I want.
Don't go all Marco on him.
Right. Just have an honest assessment of where the team is, right?
And that's the difference. You're not going to get the Marco-isms out of Mekis. You're just not going to get that sort of toxicity out of Red Bull at this point. I think those days are probably over.
More like James Vowles, right? Like you can give an honest assessment of where the team is without dragging everybody out and dogging each other, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Let's talk about your team. Your buddy Will Courtney.
Yeah.
Right?
That was quite nice. Yeah. Nicely done.
Good old Will. How about that, Will? Really,
just
taking a
everybody.
step up. How about that? You were thinking, well, who is Will? Well, Will was at Red Bull for 22 years.
That's right.
15 as the head of race strategy. And he now, apparently, McLaren's incoming sporting director, Will, has now started after Red Bull approved an early exit. He'd been previously expected to serve out a gardening leave.
Right.
And Red Bull said, what the heck,
Live your life, my man.
Yeah. So it's part of the strategy. It happens. He's going to be reporting to McLaren's racing director. So this is good. So Red Bull's strategy and brain drain continues as they just leak key technical people within the organization. Red Bull frames it as, hey, it's a changing the guard narrative, and there's a lot of senior departures, but we've got a broader, training up the next rank and file and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So why not? It's not a one hire though for McLaren. This is, in my opinion, McLaren buying process. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This isn't just like get all the best. They're not Aston Martin. They're not just like buying people. This is a strategic.
Yeah.
We have a position to be filled, and who can fill it. It isn't just buy up everybody and make them fit somewhere.
Right. And the sporting director is an incredibly valuable position, operational sharpness, pit wall governance, race ops, all of that. It's not just strategy calls. And let's be honest, if I'm being nitpicky, that's desperately something that McLaren needs right now, right? After almost throwing away the championship this year, I think having somebody like Will in there.
He should be the papaya rules manager. That's that's actually what it says on the org chart, right? Right. Manager of the papaya, yes.
Yeah. The keeper of the holy papaya. Yeah.
Correct. So I think I do think that'll help to kind of because it'll help to keep both the like outward media narrative cleaner, which McLaren had problems with this season, and hopefully they're actual on track. Maybe they'll be a little less likely to just shoot themselves in the foot.
Right.
In 26. So
that's why I think this role is important for McLaren.
Absolutely.
And why I don't believe it is a one hire. I think their buying process, they're going to bring Will in to get that consistency. The assumption check on this for me is his arrival doesn't mean instant McLaren advantage, but the cultural and sort of tool chains that he has matter to Will and how effective he would be in McLaren. Even great strategists need the right data systems, the right decision authority to make the right decisions, as long as he's got that. And I would say, to your point, Grace, I mean, if he's got to spend a lot of his, gray matter trying to navigate this ridiculous papaya rules thing, I think that's going to be difficult for him. You know, he comes from Red Bull. It's all about Max. It's all about the driver who's most likely to win. And
you know, yeah. I think that's what he'll bring, though. I think not that it's all about Max, but that sort of like to the point directness, or like cutting off the
ambiguity.
Yeah, right. Like we're doing this right here, right? Like I think that would help them to have that kind of directive. I think that sometimes it's sort of like, I don't know, Lando, what do you want? Well, I don't know, Pitwall, what do you want? Well, I don't know, Lando, what do you want? You know what I mean? Like just we get it, you know. And so I could see that coming from Red Bull being a real strength to be able to just be decisive, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, I agree.
Make the team be decisive, and I think that I agree with you. I think that will really help. And once you have one person that's kind of heading that, everybody else will kind of like, okay, yeah, I got this, right? That's what we'll say, and it'll create that ethos and that process for the team.
Yeah,
it'll make that a little less gobbledygooky. I don't know next year.
Yeah, I agree. I hope they have better firm footing on their decision and strategy. The other assumption checks really is, Red Bull's weakening. You know, automatically they're just losing these people, and so they're going to weaken. I don't know about that. Red Bull has been really good at internal promotion and development. They really have. The real question for me is whether the 2026 power unit and Aero shift punishes any sort of organization wobble. And what I mean by that is that you look at what happened the beginning of last year on the back of all the scandal and the consternation and the Jos Verstappen, Christian Horner, Adrian Newey, all that stuff that went down. That organization was wobbling, even at the boardroom level. You know, you had Ali and
how could it not be?
With Didi passing and, you know, this power struggle at the boardroom. You had all of this going on. That organization was wobbling. And yet, look what they were able to do last year, right? So the question is, okay, losing even more senior brains in the operation, are they going to be weaker now? I'm just curious, how much of this organization wobble can they withstand and still maintain that level of success and performance that they did in the second half of 2025?
Right.
That's the big question for me.
I mean, I think the thing is like, imagine what Red Bull would have done without that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, right? Like, so I think that they were able to, much better than if it was McLaren, that's for sure. I think to be able to right themselves through that wobble, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that they have that. Again, I think that comes from that, what makes them so direct, right? That's where this can pay off. But it's also can lead to everything has a plus and a minus, and what works for one person's management style works for some employees and works not for others. So,
right.
But I do think that their ability to sort of like laser direct in on something will help, and that you've had a lot of people there. Again, it's a large organization. Mackey's is really able to set that tone from the top and carry people through at Red Bull. It's not really ever. Even like with Adrian Newey, it's not just like, whoop, you have Adrian Newey, Aston Martin's going to win next year, right? And it's never quite that direct, because if that was the case, everybody would just pay for Adrian Newey, right? So it takes a little bit more than just, Todd's running this podcast now, we're making millions. All right, excellent, right?
Clearly not the reality, yeah. I'm not the Adrian Newey of podcasting.
Yeah, me neither. I'm mostly the Kimi Räikkönen of
right. Yeah. So, we'll see. But good for McLaren. I think that's a role they need to iron out some of the papaya nonsense. And hopefully, I think we'll be able to do that. He's a sharp cookie, that Will. He's a good egg. And we'll see what happens. Let's see. The 2026 rules clarity. Hey, we did get a little clarification. Active Aero replaces the classic DRS, and the FIA says that the regs suite is complete. So now they've done all the maths, they've figured it all out, and everything, the 2026 regulatory suite is now structurally completed. New Section A added. The regs split into 6 sections, A through F. They've got that all down. Um,
And I'm glad I was losing sleep over those
Me
6
too.
seconds being won, right? I'm like,
too.
very good.
I was like an MBS. Please talk to
Put
us.
this up. Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, talk to us. Get this figured out. Certainly the on-track headlines as we head in 26 is going to be the active Aero, front and rear wing elements that adjust and open with low drag mode on straights available every lap. Plus, you've got an overtake mode. You've got the mom button, Grace. Mom button.
Some part of like, so we often will talk about how, and it's a little different because there's a little more tracks in there now, but sort of between Australia, which is again the season opener, to like Catalonia, right? Because that's traditionally the first European race. And so there's sort of a lot going on there until you get to Europe and then you're like, okay, now we feel a little more settled. The teams are bringing their upgrades. I feel like the language of these first like 6 races, what are we talking about? Like it's going to take a while for this to like kind of like settle out even in the off season where it's still like, what are we talking about when people used it? Because who's going to call it the mom mode? The mom mode. And nobody wants to call it the boost button, So it's like they're going to have to figure out some ways to like, and maybe they'll just use some like boost button seems very American, right? Like they'll come up with some, much larger, more complicated word to say the same thing in a very British kind of way, right? Like
a prize giving gala.
Yes, right. Like, well, it's award giving. Yeah,
right. It's a award show.
An award show, right? So I think that it'll just take some time until we get to Catalonia to kind of like shake this all out and figure out what's going on with all this.
I know.
The terms around the rule change.
I don't want to get way out over my skis on this, but I mean, you've got the Aero low drag mode. You've got the overtake mode triggered within 1 second. You've got the boost button now. I mean, the sport is explicitly gamifying energy deployment at this point. I am not a big fan of, we need to gamify everything. It's like, I would like a car race, not a video game.
It already is a game.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, it's like we don't need to gamify basketball. It's already basketball, right? Like,
yeah, exactly. I don't need to gamify anything.
It's already a game. And we already had Formula E. I don't know, like,
I know.
Didn't we already go through all of this? Why don't we go through this again?
We did.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Anyway, but, the power unit direction, still a 1.6 liter V6 turbo hybrid, but it is shifting to a 50-50 split between ICE and electric. Okay. Plus, Grace, should we send a get well soon card to MGUH? I mean, It's done. It's the end. Should we send a potted plant? I mean, was there a funeral for it?
A watery grave.
We're lamenting the loss of the engine muffling MGUH, which I went on a screed last week. I was the one you'll remember that you guys made fun of when I made such a big deal in 2014 about how not only Formula One, but all of the media, rank and file, drank the Kool-Aid. They went right along with Formula One and instantly, because they were getting such a backlash over the sound of the cars, they instantly started referring to it as noise. Because when people would talk about, I want the V8, well, the noise of the V8 is what people... Noise is a pejorative. Sound is not. Right. Up until 2014, we always talk about the glorious sound of a V10, V12, V8. Then when it came out, notice it became the noise. Yeah. Right? Now... There was a little clip a couple of weeks ago of one of the teams. I can't remember now which one. It was a Honda or somebody. Anyway, it had the sound of the engine. Now, Formula One, all the media has gone back to the term sound. So there you go. I know I'm nitpicking, but it's important to know what words mean and what the intent is. And I never bought the noise. It pissed me off when they referred to the noise of the V8. It was the sound of the V8. So now we're back to the sound since we got rid of the god-awful MGUH, thankfully. And the sustainability governance, the FIA details fuel assurance scheme, the SRFAS. Oh, that's an acronym. I mean, that's getting dangerously close to American military acronym there.
Right.
Did you get the SURFAS? No.
No.
Tied to advanced sustainable components and, the biofuel. So there you go. So we got that. So if you love DRS trains, folks, you're about to meet recharge debates. I think that's going to be the real talking point is we head into 2026. A lot of teams are concerned about it.
It's the same problem.
Yeah.
Just a different mechanism, same problem.
Yep. It is.
It's still a truly train. It does not matter what's causing it.
Yeah. And like I said, the whole fan-facing language shift to boost, overtake, recharge, it's a deliberate attempt to make 2026 era legible for fans, and gamifying it, which I'm not a big fan of personally. I mean, whatever. That's just personal taste, but I'm not a huge fan of that.
I don't think I think the thing is, though, is that it can come off as patronizing to the kids, right? Like they're trying too hard. Dominicali, you're old. I am old. Stop trying to be young. You're not cool. You're not hip. It's okay. Just you don't have to like.
He completely embodies that Steve Buscemi meme.
Hey, young students, what's up?
Hey, young students. Yeah. Right.
Yes, which I always liked with Fernando Alonso when he got the rookie test, right? Like,
yeah, right.
Hello, fellow youngsters. I am Fernando Alonso. I'm here for the rookie test, right?
Yeah. Hello, fellow rookies.
Yeah, I just think that you're just trying too hard. You're listening to marketing. And once again, none of this matters unless your racing is worth watching. So focus on making racing worth watching and don't worry about all this sort of like trickeration. I mean, it's like dating. Just be yourself. That doesn't mean be mean or be a slob. Yeah, dress nicely, take a shower, be the best part of yourself, but just be yourself.
Right.
Because you know what? Eventually, you're going to get onto like date 9, and then what happens? You just are a jerk. Well, just be a jerk at date 1, and then we all know we can all move on with our lives. There's no need for this. Just be yourself, Formula One.
No, it's a great point you bring up, Grace, and it's part of my assumption check. The one is the active Aero guarantees better racing. Well, my counterpoint to that, no, it guarantees different racing. Right? The balance between low drag availability and overtake mode constraints is where. Trust me on this. If you've watched F1 for a long time out there, you know what I'm talking about. If you're newer, you have trust me on this. Is the balance between low drag availability and overtake mode constraints is where the unintended consequences live. It will be exploited. Energy hoarding, timing windows, new trains, maybe not DRS trains, but there'll be other trains, right? The teams, and Grace and I have talked about this ad nauseum, Grace, the teams will exploit the regulation to the nth degree, but it is their job to push the envelope as far as humanly possible. We've talked about when fans got very upset when we switched. Remember, we get to free practice and 30 minutes goes by and not one team's ran.
Yeah.
That's because tactically and strategically it doesn't benefit the team to run for that full hour, and they're not going to, right? And so everybody says, well, but that's crap for the fans. Sorry. But those are the regulations.
They're not even there for the drivers. So why would they be there for the fans? We just happen to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is where they will exploit this.
I think let this be a lesson. This is what happens when you're old. This is what happens in everything, right? Like, oh yeah, we've been through this with every project before. Oh, now we're going to do performance evaluations like this, which we did last time. And this is the opposite of the thing we did before. Like, right. Don't get old, people, because then this is what happens, right? You're just like, yeah, we've been here. We've done that. Now we're doing it again, but now we're calling it boost and recharge, right? Like, right. So, it comes for all of us. And I think that it really, I just don't see where people are like blinded by this magnificence. I don't think it works that way. It's not like somebody's like, oh, I wasn't really, there's a boost button, Todd. Oh, I'm going to watch this week. I didn't know that. Like,
a boost button, I'm in.
Right. Yeah. I just think that's just that's not a selling point to people. I think if you have good racing that people want to watch and you sell it an honest way, right? Like you don't need to, again, take showers, be nice. But if you're not a fancy person, don't be fancy. Eventually I'm going to find out you're not fancy. Just wear your t-shirts and jeans. It's fine, right?
If you don't know which side the fork goes on, just admit it.
It's okay, right?
Yeah.
Just live your life. You eat from the outside in. It's fine. You deserve
Right.
spoons at the top. But nobody knows this, and it's okay. And as long as we all agree it's fine, and you're not using each other's forks. But
Right. And
they're
it
just
brings.
trying so hard.
I know they are. It brings up another assumption I was thinking about. Well, more driver tools equals more of a spectacle, right? With the boost and the recharge and all that. But my counterpoint to that is if the tools are too powerful or too procedural, you risk turning wheel to wheel into who pushed the right button or who pushed the right mode at the right detection point or at the right time, you know? And to your point, Grace, they got a boost button. Oh my gosh, you used the boost at exactly the right time. And it's kind of like,
But why wouldn't you just have... Okay, so this is kind of like when they introduced the sprint races. The first weekend of sprint races was interesting. Guess what? By the second time we had sprint races, people figured it out, and it didn't matter anymore, right?
Matter,
They do the same thing. Like, so Australia might be a little like, argy-bargy.
Yeah, right,
but
right.
by the time we get to Catalonia, it'll be a non sequitur because everybody will be like,
energy
you push the boost
hoarding
button
and-
here, and you hoard your energy here, and you go like this
right.
during the straights, and you go like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People have figured it out, and it won't. At least for the
Right.
front teams, it won't be such a thing. It'll be. It's why rain. It's people always talking about rain being the great equalizer. That's why.
That's why.
And so this isn't going to replace that, though, right?
No,
Like just
it's
giving
not.
giving the drivers more buttons to push is not going to make the racing better.
I know. I mean, I sum it up as DRS is dead. Long live DRS. And it's
Right.
now with 3 buttons and a philosophy degree, basically.
Oh my gosh.
Is where they are. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm not trying to be a negative
No, I think
Nancy
it's
on
just.
this, but
I think it's just. There'll be some hype around it. The first.
Yeah.
It will be confusing in Australia for us to figure out, for them to watch.
yeah.
And
Let alone whatever
but-
graphics they come up with on Apple TV.
oh crap! I didn't even think of that. They'll be terrible because they're going to be terrible. So maybe that should be a feature next season. What does this graph mean? With Grace.
Tim Cook Pole Award. The
How
Tim
many
Cook
axes
Driver
are
of
in
the Day.
This has 7 axes in it. What is it trying to tell me? Nobody knows.
I give it 3 Tims. That drive was 5 Tims. This is great.
All right. So, but I do think that there's a point to, and they're professional. Like, have you seen their steering wheel? Like, what's a couple more buttons? It's not like they're just.
What's 3 more buttons?
I mean,
Right.
they'll adapt. They'll
I
be
know.
fine. They're very smart. They know what they're doing. And
Sure.
what seems like a really hard task to you or I, perhaps they've been doing it since they were 4.
Yeah.
It's not the same.
I know. Well, and also the 2026 preseason calendar's taking shape, right? Published calendar. And Ferrari's all-in early gamble is their template that they're heading into 26. This is going to make Grace laugh.
Why not?
You got Mercedes. They're going to, throw some renders out January 22nd. Digital season launch February 2nd. Williams FW48 livery reveal on February 3rd-ish. Testing. You got Barcelona, Bahrain, and then Australia begins, March 6th?
Yeah.
Something like that. But the Ferrari angle was interesting that came out this with Fred Vasseur reportedly switching resources to 2026 as early as last April. They expect a Fiorano shakedown, Spec A in Barcelona, and Spec B. They're dropping them like a double album drop here. Spec B for Bahrain, meaning we'll get an early read on whether the philosophy works or not. This was the whole thing,
All
right?
Yeah.
Certainly it's a concrete storyline, but the sacrifice of 2025 competitiveness for 2026 upside is high risk. At
Super
best.
high risk.
It's very high risk, right?
Why would you do that?
Right. Yeah, and you think, well, hey, but the early switch guarantees Ferrari advantage, right? Because they've been working on it since April. But does it? Early switch can also mean that your early commitment to the wrong concept.
Correct.
Right? So if correlation is off, you just arrive at the wrong destination much faster.
Yeah.
Right?
See McLaren.
See Mercedes.
is what I meant.
Zero, yeah.
Right.
Size
Mercedes
0
is the
body.
other side. Thanks,
Right.
Mike Elliott. Maybe Mike Elliott works at Ferrari now.
Yeah, maybe. So I don't know. It's
And especially because the rules are always vague. right? Like there always has to be some gray space. And so some of that isn't until somebody says, so asking for a friend, if I did this, would that be legal? And so by committing this early on, you miss out on that sort of like, well, what if I did this thing? Or, you know, this sort of refinement that naturally will happen.
Right. And I would say last April, the regulations are 2026. You know, it's not like you could have written those on a rock. I mean, they weren't, you know, poured in cement at that point.
I explained a lot for him, though.
I think it's a convenient way, and you know, it's coming from a Ferrari fan, as evidenced by the pictures and cars behind me. But I think it's an easy way to dismiss their horrible 2025, saying, "Oh, well, no. I mean, the reason. Look, you know, really, Mr. or Mrs. Press person, 2025. No, it wasn't a good year, but." I'll tell you the secret. It's because we gave up in April. We were focused on 2076 all year long. So
just wait.
You know, we were just an also ran for balance for most of 2025. We were an also ran because we were focused on 26.
But that doesn't work. You're Ferrari. That works if you're Alpine.
I agree. I agree.
Like, this is not a story.
If you're Ferrari,
if you're Williams, you're Ferrari.
You should have been kicking button 25 and working on 2026.
Because again, everybody else at the front end figured that out. But Ferrari, like, it's just like, what would Alpine do, right? Like, nobody buys this. And what if they do suck at 26? Then what's your storyline going to be, buddy? Right? Like, what are you going to do now?
Right. And just a cautionary tale on any renders that you see or even some of the early tests. You know, do they tell us anything about the car? What they tell us, folks, is what their marketing priorities are. The real tells start in Barcelona, correlation, Bahrain, long runs. I suspect we'll see very different wings come Australia than what we see early on. So, it doesn't tell us anything. If you've been watching F1 in a long time, you folks out there are the veterans, you'll know what I'm talking about. Remember where they'd show up in testing and they'd have certain front wings. Yeah. But, you know, and then the launch car is just a show car. Right. And an approximation. Then you go to testing and then, oh, no, this is interesting. And all the F1 press will be beavering into the fairings and all the wings and all that. And then they show up in Australia completely different than what they were testing. Like, whoa, where did that come from, right? Think dual diffuser and brawn, right? So if you've been following a little while, you know how these teams play that.
I mean, they also, just like radio, right? They know that the communication between the driver and the team, not only do we hear that, but they know that, you know, Red Bull's listening to what Ferrari's saying and Ferrari's listening to what McLaren's saying. So they know what to say and not to say and how to like use coded language or how to present themselves. It isn't just like straightforward, whatever comes to their mind is what they say. Right. This is the same thing, right? Like they know that what they show up at test 1, everybody's looking at. And they know what they show up at test 2, everybody's looking at. So that's always a part of the game is that, you need to test things, you need to get information, but you also know everybody's watching you. And so if you can throw somebody off your scent, that's great strategery, right? So
and I've been saying this for 10 plus years, folks, is that when you go to testing, and you'll hear it this year, you're going to hear people say, oh, it's just testing. We really can't tell anything from testing. No, we can't as fans sitting at home. You're right. We can't. I'll guarantee you the other teams know what's going on. Absolutely know what's going on.
And they have people there. And
they're not just timing their cars. They're timing fractions of sectors of other cars. And they're watching every other team's program. They're watching everything, folks. And they see everything. And these are seasoned veterans, from the engineers to the mechanics in these teams. These are professional Formula One people. They know this sport inside and out so much better than we do. And they're watching every move. They can tell, you know, when a team's doing something with tires, what they're doing. They know this. Ask Paul Charsley. Even in IMSA, they know, you know. They know. So they can tell. We may sit at home and say, you really can't tell anything from testing. We don't know who's going to be fast. I'll guarantee you, come the last testing session, somebody at Aston Martin knows who's going to be the quickest car out there. They'll know.
I think this is similar to like back when we talked about the Halo and whether or not the Halo should be the car.
Yeah.
I don't know. Right? I can't make that decision. But sure as hell, there's somebody in your team that's looking at the data and can make that decision and can be like, yes, this is a good idea. No, this is a bad idea.
Right.
I can't do that. But you sure as hell hope that somebody on the pit wall and whoever has your data and has your two drivers and what's happening on the track with the other team knows. That's their job, right? That's going to be Will's job, is to figure these things out. I don't know. I can write you a survey, but I don't know what that means that Aston Martin did this around the track, right?
Yeah.
That's not my job. So
yeah.
I think it's more of a warning that it's kind of like watching FP1. Just because, I don't know, Aston Martin's top of the sheets at FP1 doesn't mean they're going to win, right? So just because somebody's fast in testing, that's not what you should be looking at. But all those things you could be looking at, we don't have access to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree. So we'll see. See what happens. Okay. It'll be interesting. Hey, before we jump into Albon's Cats, I want to just bring up a social media spotlight that Pierre Gasly, I thought, and very touching. So Michael Schumacher shares a birthday with my youngest daughter. And so for Schumacher's birthday, January 3rd, he's 57 now. Pierre Gasly was skiing. And paying homage to Michael Schumacher, he was out in a red, like Ferrari red ski jacket with the Marlboro logo, which is exactly what Michael was wearing when he was skiing. And he got injured. And so Pierre, a great post, skiing tribute reference to Michael's birthday, basically saying, that he was thinking of Michael on his birthday. And I love that about Pierre. I really do like Pierre a lot. I think he's a really good guy. Mm-hmm. Certainly his love of Jules Bianchi and those, he's got a lot of empathy, does Pierre. Yes. And I really do like that about him. Mm-hmm. That was mad. You get the whole debate online about it. The internet can't just let a heartfelt post be just heartfelt, Mm-hmm. Everybody's got to weigh in. Anything you post, anything even vaguely 90s F1 coded, then the comments become a dissertation and, Marlboro and now, tobacco. And I love how people, love to judge historic Earth by today's cultural mores, and it's frustrating as hell. Could you not just let Pierre honor Michael Schumacher and his legacy in Formula One and a heartfelt tribute? And so to Pierre, I say, great job. I loved it. The car behind me on the wall there, that has Marlboro on the back wing. That's Schumacher's car right there. And I love that about Pierre. And I thought it was a really, really heartfelt, kind gesture on his part. So
and to you, Todd, what I recommend is don't read the comments.
I know. I got to quit reading comments. Just enjoy
the post and move on.
I know.
Don't read the comments. They're always, And the thing is that for every, that was a good point, there's 7 other trolls. So
I know. I know. Every time I go to social media, read the comments. If there's a bell curve, most of them are far to the left of the bell curve. It's just maddening. So anyway, so hey, as we head into next week, before we get into Albon's Cats, head into what to look for, folks. Well, you've got the Mercedes renders drop. And then whatever they drop, just expect an immediate front wing discourse, right? So you'll see some renders. Oh, yeah, look at that front wing. You get that. But trust me, it's not going to be the front wing we see in Australia. I got the Barcelona test coming up late January. A first real hint of who's understood the active Aero and the energy management. That'll be interesting to see. And then Cadillac, still continuing that operational build out. So watch for more staffing announcements, facility progress, how quickly the Ferrari supply relationship turns into on-track reliability. I think that'll be a real good talking point as we head into the season for 2026. So keep your eye on that. Okay. Now we've got all of that out of the way. That typically means that at this point we slide ever so easily into Albon's Cats. Oh, yes, we do. All right, Grace, you got any Albon's Cats for us?
I do, but actually this week it's less Albon's Cats and more kvetching with Grace. That often happens on this podcast. But this has been a repeated kvetch, surprise. But I was listening to, first of all, I think it's funny that the race, right, has a podcast. But whenever I would say to Flip, I'd be like, oh, hey, I heard this on the Racist podcast. It always sounds like the Racist podcast, which clearly somebody did not think that through when they came up with the name, which makes total sense. But I'm like, I'm going to be out in public and be like, hey, did you hear the Racist podcast? Great. That's my favorite one.
Interesting listening, Grace.
The Racist podcast. But anyway, so the Racist podcast, they were kind of doing a like, what's coming up in 2026
with Ed Straw.
Yeah. So, but he starts out the pod by going, with only a 3.5 week break, I was like, I have no idea what else they spoke about for the next hour. You know how, like, I was talking about, like, how when Lindblad, they were pointing out that he wasn't alive when Alonso won his championship, and it's just like, oh, God, I'm so old, right? That's how I felt. I have no idea what else they talked about on that podcast, because I'm like, what? It's 3.5 weeks. What has happened to the off season? I remember in the olden days, we used to have, like, months of off season.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
No,
the only thing we had to cling to was the Vroom.
I know. There's not even time for Vroom. There's 3.5 weeks. Like, you get your 2 weeks for, Christmas and New Year's and the holidays. And then it's right back to work.
And then it's full bore Ed Straw.
And I don't even leave my couch.
And Scott Mitchell mommed. You got Mitchell mommed, didn't you?
I don't understand how people can do this that work in this sport.
I know.
Because for sure, I also feel like, so now I'm just trying to, like, over the holidays, I'm just trying to cram in as much football and basketball as possible, because I have no idea what's going on in those sports, because I used to be that, racing kind of ended and then football sort of picked up, but, like, football were at the playoffs by the time the racing really ended. I'm like,
you do know that your Steelers, based on a missed field goal, clinched AFC North.
I did watch the game last night, and I do feel bad bringing up football because it hasn't been so great.
Not for me.
No, not at all. I do get enough of the Chiron to go. I was totally caught off guard by they were moving to Kansas City. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess at least it's still Kansas City. You're not moving. You're
moving
Kansas,
Kansas, over in Johnson County,
but it's not like you're moving to, like, I don't know, Pittsburgh or something. Like,
I could tell you the whole story between Jackson County and Joco, or Johnson County, and this whole, it's a whole bushwhacker, jayhawker thing over there. But anyway, being a Kansas City, I don't live there now, but I was born and raised there. I get it.
I mean, I don't live in Pittsburgh, but that's where I was born. So I get that. But it was just sort of like, man, can anything go worse for the Chiefs? Oh, yeah, there it is. Oh, okay, there it is. So
it's pretty bad. Yeah. Yeah. I grew up going to Arrowhead. It was built in 1972. And the reason it's so good is because the Truman Sports Complex has acres and acres and acres of parking. It's just so easy to park there and to tailgate and to barbecue. Yeah. And there's a whole camaraderie and sense of community there. And that's what's made the Chiefs fans such great F1 or NFL fans. But anyway, it's all gone now.
So I did watch the Steelers game last night, but it's like even at work we're talking about it, and I'm like, my knowledge is very short, right? Like, I can only talk like 2 or 3 points in, and I'm like, I don't know, I haven't been watching this season because Formula One's taken up all of my life. So, and it's McLaren, so I had to keep watching. I had to keep paying attention. It wasn't like
to the last race.
Right, it wasn't like Red Bull, whatever. I'll stop paying attention now. So
I know Zach Brown took it down to a nail biter. Did Zach?
Good job, Papaya Rules. In basketball, I'm watching it going, wait, when did that guy go to that team? Well, basketball's been going on for a while. So I'm just so behind on all my sports. I just feel like I'm like drinking from a fire hydrant right now, trying to get.
And you haven't even watched an Arsenal game, have you? Paul's all mad at me.
I can't add
because Arsenal's winning. So
yeah, and Daytona's in like 2 weeks.
I know Daytona's coming up. Paul's in Daytona. We got IMSA coming up. 24 hour. The roar before the 24 or whatever it is they call it. Yeah,
the roar before the 24.
Yeah. Yes. So in the off season, Paul's race is coming up, folks. So get ready.
I'm just not prepared for anything or how fast this is going, and that's why when Ed Straw was like, with 3.5 weeks to go, I'm like, I'm out. 3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks.
Damn you, Ed Straw.
I jest, Ed. You're a good guy. I love your work. So keep it up.
My only thing with Ed is that because he always does the Grammarly commercials, so anytime he uses a bad pun, which I hate puns, I'm like, oh, did Grammarly suggest that, Ed? Was that one of their suggestions for you?
Did you come up with that on your own? Yeah.
Or was that your own writing?
Right.
But no. So the Racist podcast is a great listen, but
the Racist podcast.
I'm just not prepared that, like you said, January 22nd, like at the end of January, we're already like back into testing. I need more time to catch up on things. This is too much.
Yes,
too much, and I don't go anywhere and follow anything.
I agree. Shall we do some mailbag?
Yeah, let's do it.
You want to do that?
You've got mail.
Hey, Rusty asked a really good question, and I'm going to reach out to our listeners. I'd love to get your opinion on this, seriously. And Rusty, I don't know that I have a great answer for you, but I will try to remember to ask Paul the next time he's on, because it's a great question. Rusty asked this. Rusty asked this: the ground effect cars have been very difficult for Lewis, and not just at Ferrari. What do you think it is about these cars that prevented Lewis from ever getting comfortable with them? And I think it's a great question. And, on first blush, you could say, well, is that a reality? Has it just been these ground effects cars? You could say, well, yes, because he was struggling at Mercedes. Mercedes themselves were struggling, right? And you could say he's struggling at Ferrari, and Ferrari themselves was struggling, and he didn't do as well as Charles Leclerc, and then George Russell got the best of him in the last year at Mercedes. But I think there's something to that. And the reason I say that, Rusty, is because I equate this to Daniel Ricciardo with the 2014 regulation change with the hybrid. Right. Ever since 2014, Daniel just never seemed to be able to get on top of that car. He went to Renault, went to McLaren. He just never seemed to be able to get on top of it for whatever reason. It just wasn't in the cards. And is that happening to Lewis now? Was that ground effects car just something about that car and the way it performs was so alien to Lewis that it was difficult for him to get on top of?
I think it was difficult for everybody. I think it was more difficult for him.
Yeah.
I don't know that any of the drivers. I mean, I think that it was fundamentally always problematic for the drivers. But also, I think his driver style doesn't really suit that in a way that the newer drivers were able to. I don't mean that ageist. I mean that, like, he learned how to drive like A, and they all came in driving like B, and this is more suited for B. I think it's a fair
assessment, Grace. And the reason I say, you said, well, but Alonso's not struggling with the ground effects. Well, is he? Is he not?
I think he is. I think everybody is.
Is he not? Because, the Aston Martin, he did well in the Aston Martin, and he did better than Lance, but Lance isn't Charles Leclerc, right?
That's right.
So, is he? I don't know. Nico Hülkenberg, doing well at Sauber, got his first podium, that kind of thing. I don't know. I think, honestly, Rusty, if I had to put my finger on it, I don't think Lewis has forgotten how to drive a car in any stretch of the imagination. I think he's a wonderful talent. I honestly think a lot of it is just psychological for him. I think Lewis has been a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve, and adulation, support, both verbal and social media and those kind of things are really important to him. Now, you can think that's silly, or you can totally understand that. It doesn't really matter. But for Lewis, that is important to him. His persona, his brand, those kind of things are important. He loves that adulation. It's not, you can say, well, he's a narcissist or whatever. Who knows? I don't know Lewis well enough to know one way or the other. I will tell you, though, that adulation and support is a motivator for him personally. It motivates him. And I think going to Ferrari, anyone will tell you that going to Ferrari may be a dream of many, but it's not an easy transition. Look at Fernando Alonso. Look at Sebastian Vettel. Right? Look at Carlos Sainz. Look at what Lewis is going through. Even look at Charles Leclerc. Charles Leclerc went to Ferrari. Look at how much he's struggling, and the pressure of the Tifosi, the pressure of the system. And Charles speaks fluent Italian too, and Lewis does not. Right? So I think it just, in his mind's eye, he saw it working out, sort of like it did for Schumacher. I don't think he went in thinking, I'm going to do a Schumacher. I just think he went in thinking that this would gel and it would work and it would be successful, and it's not. And I think that's taken the stuffing out of him. And I think once it deflates Lewis a little bit, I think that has an impact on him. If he would have been in a McLaren, last year, would he have drove well? Yeah, I think he would have. So I don't know. That's why I put it out to you listeners. What do you guys think? Do you all feel like it kind of is the ground effects car, and maybe that's really what the struggle is?
Also more vocal about it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, he says it out loud.
He does.
You know what I mean? I don't think anybody has enjoyed this car or done well in this car,
right,
in that sense, but he tells us that. It's narrative management in some ways, right?
Yeah.
So, I could see that because he says, right, it's kind of like the balance I think we all have to find at work, right? Like, you want to say, hey, that was my mistake, I'm so sorry, Todd. But you know that if you say, I'm sorry, Todd, that was a mistake, somebody may be like, oh, see, Grace just can't hack it.
Yeah,
well,
right.
I'm just a human, right? Like, so I think that there's sometimes there's that balance that we want him to not say those things because it makes him appear a certain way in his narrative. And so that it could be that it's just that nobody else says it out loud or feels capable of saying it out loud, or, could you imagine being like at Alpine, Pierre Gasly being like, hey, guess what? I'm not doing so great here. Yeah, it's not going to fly, right? So,
yeah.
But that is part of his brand and who he is, and he wants to be open about that. But
it is. But he also
we don't have everybody's honest opinion about it.
He knows how to work, his fan base too. He's I'm terrible, I'm horrible, and then the fan base will react. Oh, Lewis, you're 7-time champ, you're awesome, you're inspirational, all that stuff, and he gets that adulation from him and that kind of thing. But it's more than that. It's not about cheap platitudes for him. I think he desperately wants this to work and win. But I'm not sure. Yeah, and I'm kind of questioning now, deep down, whether he's looking at that organization now from the inside out and thinking, "Wow, this team's got a lot of issues," and I don't think this is going to work.
I don't know how you go into this not knowing. I don't know the depth of those issues, but come on, man. I got eyes. We've talked about this. Like, I don't know.
Eyes, haven't I?
I was like, I can understand. I grew up with Michael Schumacher's poster on my wall, and I really wanted to go to Ferrari. That sentiment, I understand 100%. But that was not yesterday, right? Have you not been watching this sport, right? Like, how many, you're friends with Vettel. You're the only person that has Vettel's cell phone number. Did you not talk to him before you went there? I'm pretty sure that you knew. Maybe not how bad, but you knew it wasn't great. I just think that it isn't how he thought it was going to go. And maybe he didn't realize it was as bad as it is. And in the beginning, he was, I don't know, swept up by all the greatness, but it's Ferrari, man.
But
I don't know why you think that.
There's precedence there. He can't feel, and if you're criticizing him, I wouldn't be too harsh on him. Look, I think the reality of this is you could look at Schumacher when he went to Ferrari, but Schumacher was young. He just came off the 2 championships. He was on fire. If you go to that, what's the podcast? The one guy, I'm so sorry. I can never remember your name. It was a high performance podcast. Is that it? Jake.
Oh yeah. With Jake Humphrey.
Yes.
Yes. That's high performance. And the other guy, Lamb.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
Jake Humphrey and the other guy.
Jake Humphrey and the other, he had Willman on, the producer of Top Gear and Grand.
Yeah.
Okay. Good interview. But he talks about Schumacher in there. And if you haven't listened to that, go find the section where Willman talks about Schumacher and the kind of guy he is and what he did at Ferrari and the difference. That's not what Lewis is doing. That was a different era. Michael 100%. Went in and did something with that team very few have ever, well, nobody's repeated, right? But he did it in a certain way. And listen to Willman because he says it far better than I can paraphrase it. So go listen to that. But I think that is the difference. When Michael came back out of retirement, Mercedes car was struggling. The pace wasn't there. It was tough, and they let him go, you know?
Yeah.
And so, if it doesn't work for Lewis and he ends up retiring, I don't hold that against him. Schumacher couldn't make it at Mercedes, you know? So it happened.
It just sucks because this is not, I mean, you didn't have another choice, right? Like, you know, because he couldn't have stayed at McLaren, or I keep doing that. Mercedes. Someday I'll stop doing that. Mercedes, they just need to be a different team so I stop having that problem. But anyway, Mercedes, they weren't going to keep him. They were going to bring on Kimi Antonelli. So he didn't really have another option that was viable. And so I can see that you really thought Ferrari was going to be different, but I don't. It's also where else are you going to go? So yep, agreed. All right, well, let us know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your opinions on it. Just send us a note, leave a comment in the post of this or on social media. That would be great too. Anyway, all right. Well, that does it for this podcast. But you can share your opinion. Just go to theparkforme.com. Share your opinion with decorum and civility. As always, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters because we could not and would not do this podcast if it weren't for you. Like literally, if we didn't have Patreon supporters, this podcast would not exist. And so we cannot do this without you. So we are incredibly grateful. And we will be back next week with more Formula One news. We'll be talking about it. And until that time next week, when we come back to do it all over again, this is Todd, a.k.a. Negative Camper, saying so long, Grace. See you next week.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over. It's not that I feel I've got to prove at all. I don't really want to prove anything. I started as an amateur with no idea or no intention of becoming world champion. I was curious to find out what it was like to